what have you guys done, or what are you doing right now to build for your future?
So one of the big things that we found is, so with the ACC Network, obviously there's additional revenue that's coming in. Hope, fingers crossed, everybody call your cable companies. But there's not a sort of like it's not a one-to-one thing where, additional marginal revenue comes in through the TV deal, and then that filters down to, the video operation to maintain equipment, to, stay current, to continue upgrading. So I think one of the big things is figuring out creative ways for, in operational budgets, to build in room for equipment renewal and replacement, because, we're going to be going into our 4th year in our rooms, essentially, or I guess, yeah, 4th year with our cameras, the year that the network launches. And as anybody who's used video equipment can tell you, like, especially doing 400 shows a year, it puts a lot of wear and tear on the equipment. And so I would say that's one of the biggest challenges for us as far as getting ready for what's next, because we're going to be doing more shows every single year from now until forever, and just trying to figure out ways that we can budget to maintain and upgrade our stuff over the course of time.
Jeremy?
Immediate future, we need an archive system. You got 400 shows. It's a lot of hours of content. And to better utilize it across all departments in our, in our athletic departments, how can everybody now share that content? So we had creative guys that would go out and shoot each specific sport. Let's say football wants our footage. Well, they're not going to have super slow-mo, HDR, 4K footage. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But now we have that. So now it's how do we store all those files, and how are we going to share them amongst ourselves? So that's our first and next immediate step. And then the biggest thing is maintaining what we have. And then what we thought, I thought 10 cameras, that's more than enough. I need 5 more. So that's the other thing is expanding what we have and keeping it running. Baseball goes to a lens. Those aren't cheap.
No, not at all. Kelly?
Same for us on a couple of those things. We're looking at media asset management systems now. We definitely have a storage problem, so that's next on our list, of figuring out where we can store all the footage that we get from the ACC Network and from our post-production team. We're also working with our business office just to keep the line of communication open about what it takes to maintain the equipment that we put in. You don't want to spend a ton of money and then just let it sit there and start degrading right away. So making sure that every year we're putting in an investment and making sure that we're protecting that equipment is really important to us. And then, like Eric said earlier, we made sure that when we were doing our initial cable infrastructure and putting in fiber, that we ran extra fiber to every one of our venues, so that way hopefully we'd be ready in the future for whatever comes next.
Eric?
For us, we got $10 million improved to invest in our facility. So when you see that number, there's a lot of options there, but it also goes quickly. So we were strategic in fitting some other things into that number to help us across the board, our department. So number one, we took care of our network control rooms. That was phase 1. Phase 2 is we are now refurbishing our 2 existing control rooms and finishing out our venue work. Phase 3 in the fall, we'll be building a new studio space with the 5th control room. So 4 of those 5 control rooms are going to be, we've got 2 linear rooms. Those 4 can also be used for video board rooms. If we ever got to the point where we had to do 4 broadcasts, not that I would advocate for that, we could do that. And so we were able to work in our archive system to that. We bought enough cameras, enough intercom systems to separate big screen and network productions, which helps both of those areas as well. So, and then the last thing is we are pushing really hard to be able to make sure that some of that revenue that we make goes directly back into our budget for equipment costs, repairs, staffing, anything that we can kind of put that towards.